What's going on, everyone? Jax here in the heart of Atlanta, and I've brought all these people together to celebrate the 2021 Toyota Sienna minivan. There also might be some other things happening today.
Give it to me. Give me the wolf. Give me the wolf. All right, what are we down here celebrating?
Should I say the actual answer or the fake answer?
I mean, both.
The Braves, Dansby Swanson. It's the only reason we're here.
Okay, we drove down here in that Toyota minivan. That was fire. All right, now watch this. Did you catch the perfect spiral?
Hey, I'll also be the first to admit that I'm not even really a big baseball fan or anything, but come on, when the hometown wins the World Series, you gotta come out and support them. Yes, we were able to use this Sienna as a family would, and as you can see, we were not wanting for space, driving the girls down to the Braves parade all over Atlanta, and yeah, the long sliding captain's chairs are pretty great. But with the minivan field dwindling down to just a few main competitors, the real question is, where does this 2021 Toyota Sienna rank among the remaining big boxes? Well, let's start with the most obvious aspect of the Toyota Sienna when it's compared to its chief rivals, and that would be the exterior styling. Since there's a new Honda Odyssey on the horizon, there's really no point in mentioning its exterior styling. But the recent Kia Carnival that I had, link in the description, of course, kind of set a new bar for minivan styling, and it was universally praised by every single person who was even remotely interested in it while I had it. The Sienna is unique.
That's just something ugly people say.
And in my opinion, it should be at least praised for being so. But the styling definitely does not work from some angles. I don't really mind the front end, actually. I think it's sort of wild looking and kind of fun, and I think the daytime running lights look good, and it sort of goes full send, and I'm okay with that. But the Supra-esque kind of rear haunches, they just look sort of bulbous from certain angles, and I just don't think that really fits with the sort of minivan aesthetic at all, and in any way, ever. And this bronze-colored paint, which is kind of a metallic brown, to put it mildly, was not loved by anyone who saw it. Look, automakers, if you want to do brown, and you're anyone other than Porsche, just don't. Like, don't, okay? Like, it's not a good idea. It just sort of comes across here in this application as a bit stranger. The Sienna is powered by Toyota's familiar hybrid drive system, making 189 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque from the gasoline engine, and 180 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque from the electric motor, for a combined output of 245 horsepower. That runs through the ubiquitous CVT automatic transmission, and thanks to the electric torque torque makes the Sienna feel like many of Toyota's hybrids faster than it actually is. Thanks to the efficiency of this powertrain, the Sienna gets 36 miles per gallon in pretty much all types of driving. We easily saw 36 miles per gallon average in our week with the Sienna, and that was including highway driving, stop-and-go traffic, sort of suburban, short errand running, all kinds of driving, and we hover right around the 36, 37 miles per gallon average in pretty much all trips. So achieving these numbers is not exactly hard. It is a real-world benefit. The main downside here is the same as it is with a lot of Toyota's hybrid drive systems, and that's that the gasoline motor is kind of thrashy under hard acceleration. Even though the entire system is pretty much invisible, smooth, and responsive, the engine just sort of makes a thrashy engine note. As I said in the Camry XSE hybrid review, this powertrain is just so generally good that it belongs in pretty much everything. And I think the Sienna, having it here in the Sienna in a minivan, is perfect evidence of that. So here we are behind the wheel of the 2021 Toyota Sienna minivan, which, if you didn't know, the current generation of Sienna is hybrid only, and this one has hybrid all-wheel drive. What that means is that for a minivan, it is incredibly fuel efficient, and we have been observing very good fuel economy. I mean, this thing is rated at 36 miles per gallon in pretty much all driving types, and we've had no trouble matching that, driven it all across Atlanta. So bravo, Toyota Sienna, for doing an excellent job with fuel economy. And behind the wheel, this is a fairly pleasant vehicle to drive. I mean, for a minivan. A couple of things I'll note before we get to the handling road. In this hybrid powertrain spec, the Sienna is making 245 combined horsepower. And as I've mentioned before in other Toyota hybrid reviews and in this review, it feels faster than it is. Pickup is not really an issue, honestly, in sort of normal day-to-day driving. I never was wanting for power. That electric torque really makes a big difference, kind of helping things get off the line, even though this is less powerful than something like the Kia Carnival, which I had. It doesn't feel significantly less powerful. So you're not really getting penalized for choosing the hybrid powertrain. Kind of like what I said about the Camry XSE sort of hybrid, is that there's not really like a penalty. It's not noticeably slow. Another thing I'll mention before we get to the handling is that the steering is like pretty quick off center. And while I appreciate that, I'm not so sure that all owners might appreciate it. They might sort of chalk it up to being like slightly twitchy, but like it moves off center pretty quickly for something this size. And I like that, and it doesn't have trouble tracking straight on the highway. But some people might feel like it takes a little more correction. Although, to be honest with you, and I don't mean this to be too negative, but the wheel itself, for something that costs 52 grand, the leather on the wheel, the sort of feel of the wheel itself, not super great, to be honest with you. Now we're on the handling road, and we're gonna go over this first washboard section. I have found the ride to be generally pleasant, definitely on the softer side, but it doesn't get too out of control. So we're gonna go over the washboard section here, and the Sienna does move around quite a bit. It doesn't kind of keep the body in check as much as some other vehicles. It's soft and comfortable, but it's moving around. Around this first sharp curve, it rolls, but nothing that I wouldn't expect out of a minivan. All in all, the ride is biased towards comfort. Make no mistake about it. And on the highway, and we drove a lot on the highway going down to see the Braves parade, it is extremely comfortable, but it does get a bit wallowy at times. Now, the big bump is coming up. Let's take that and see how it goes in this. Not too bad. You've got some smallish wheels with thicker sidewall tires on this thing, so it is able to absorb some of that road texture and imperfections pretty well. It's more of the body control that can be a little sort of not disconcerting, because it's not, anything to be concerned about, but sun just exploded behind me right there. So the Sienna does well on the road. It is what you'd expect a minivan to be. Now, the biggest sort of complaint I have about it is it's not quite as refined or composed to drive as the Kia Carnival. I'm not going to compare it to the Odyssey because I haven't tested the current Odyssey and I don't really see the point till the new one comes out. I don't know about the Pacifica because I haven't tested the Pacifica, but the Pacifica can get up even more expensive than this. And I think for 52 grand, this is okay. But considering the Carnival I had was like 42 grand, I'm not really seeing the point, especially from behind the wheel, and that's sort of a running theme of this review. But there's nothing that stands out from behind the wheel to sort of elevate this past some of the competition. In fact, if I had to guess, and I'm just purely guessing right now, I would think that when the Honda Odyssey does come out, that it would drive better than this because it's a Honda and Hondas tend to be really good handlers in their respective segments. Now, to end on a positive note, the driving position is great. I have tons of room. I like the floating sort of console here. It's incredibly useful. There's cup holders everywhere, charge points, memory seats, sunroof. I like the ceiling controls. Ceiling controls, you know how I feel about ceiling controls? It has ceiling controls for all of the doors. You can open every single door in this thing except the front doors automatically, which is great. And they're on the ceiling, and I love ceiling controls. So that's a plus. But would I buy a Toyota Sienna simply because it has power door ceiling controls? No, I wouldn't. Here is where the Sienna loses a step, well, one of many steps, to the new Kia Carnival, and that's in the cargo space. The Sienna has 33.5 cubic feet of cargo here behind the third row, and it has 75.2 cubic feet behind the second row, which is significantly less than the Kia, as you can see on screen. The Kia has significantly more cargo space in all three measurements. Even the final one behind the first row, the Sienna will take 101 cubic feet, which sounds like a lot until you compare it to the Kia. The Sienna is massive, like all minivans, but the Odyssey and the Carnival are even more massive. But you know what? They're all so big that the Sienna's lacking here in cargo space could be forgiven, but the interior doesn't really elevate the experience at all. This particular model, the limited hybrid all-wheel drive, costs $52,000. That is 10 grand more than the Kia Carnival that I had a few weeks ago. 10 grand. And for what? For what? The hybrid drive system? The all-wheel drive? I mean, those things are nice, but the interior materials and ambiance are not as nice as the Kia's. The infotainment is older, significantly older. It looks older. The cargo space is smaller. Mrs. Jax thought the floating center console was a nice touch and that the under area sort of storage for like purses and bags was useful. And this has 7 USB ports and wireless charging and a rear seat entertainment system. But you know what? The Carnival has all of those things too. And the Carnival has dual entertainment screens as opposed to the Sienna's single entertainment screen. And I know that we're sort of splitting hairs here, but these things are intended to be like long trip, sort of child occupying vehicles. And 2 screens is better than 1. The materials are just okay. They're kind of hit and miss. Some of them feel good and some of them feel kind of hard and plasticky, like the wood sort of look grain fakery on the center console doesn't look super good. The steering wheel leather doesn't feel super nice, but the seats and the door cards feel okay. There just isn't a sense of occasion in here like there is in the Kia Carnival. And the Carnival has another trim above that, and it's still cheaper than this. If you get that one, you can get the captain's chairs that fully recline and have footrests that come out. And to be fair, you can get that here too. I mean, these long slide captain's chairs are pretty cool, but it would be even more money to get those in the Sienna. So should you buy the 2021 Toyota Sienna minivan? Well, if you're planning on keeping it for a super long time, I do think that Toyota reputation for reliability still makes itself known. It's still worth considering. Many people who buy minivans are in it for the long haul, and there are a lot of Toyota Siennas out there with hundreds of thousands of trouble-free miles on them. It's also not without its gimmicks, like the kick-open sliding side doors. That's a pretty cool feature that like no other minivans have. But as a total by itself value proposition, is it the best minivan for the money? No, it isn't. And no, you shouldn't get it over something like the Kia Carnival. You should go check out the very excellent Kia Carnival. It drives better, it gives you more for your money, and it looks absolutely incredible for a minivan. In a highly competitive segment, the Kia Carnival delivers a host of desirable options, along with fantastic styling and sheer presence, and a value that cannot be beat right now. For now, that makes it top dog among the minivan competition in this segment. But if you want to save some money at the pumps, along with the very useful all-wheel drive and Toyota's reputation for reliability, the Sienna isn't a bad option. It's just maybe not as good of an option.
Guys, thanks so much for watching this admittedly slightly different review, because we actually used the Toyota Sienna as a family would and came down to this possibly once in a lifetime celebratory event here in Atlanta. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below what you thought. If you're a Braves fan, say go Braves, and I will see you in the next video. All right, go Braves, take care, ride safe, drive safe, all that good stuff. Peace.
Dude, shut up, dog. That is the same dog. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, that is the same person with the same freaking dog that always drives by every Sunday and it barks. Like it's never satisfied. Like it's never finished barking. It's like there's a person bark, there's a tree bark, the sky bark, I'm alive bark. It's still freaking barking.